Okay, so guys, we got to know that from the SDLC, test planning is the phase where leads and managers will play a role, right? Test planning where leads and managers will play a role here, where they will prepare a high level plan and approach of testing the application. High level plan and approach of testing the application would be prepared here as part of this particular planning phase. Good enough. So here there are two types of documents they use it to prepare. One is a test planning, in which the first one is a test plan and the second one is a test strategy. Okay, the second one is a test strategy. One is a test plan and the second is a test strategy. Both the documents would be prepared by the leads here. So more or less these two documents contains the similar content itself, but strategy is a much more detailed way. Okay, more detailed manner this strategy is. A plan contains only few details, but a strategy contains additional details. Okay. So before jumping on to these documents, there are a couple of points that we need to know. Based on that, we can get started with it. So consider that. Let me give you a small example so that you better understand this stuff. Okay. So consider that we as an organization are developing this libby.com website. Okay. So here is the deal. So Anil wants this website. Wants this website, and he gave this website development work to TCS. Consider that he gave this development work to TCS. Okay, so TCS, what they told to Anil is, buddy, so as this website includes multiple user logins, multiple options, multiple things, the first thing we will focus and we will deliver for you is purchase a course, maybe a manual testing Telugu course. So we will create this for you. This is the first thing, which we will deliver in a 45, which we will deliver in a 3 days. Consider that we will deliver this in a 3 days. Okay. And Surendra is a tester. When Surendra is testing the application, these guys have developed only this functionality itself. Only this functionality. They clearly said that, buddy, I'm done with this, only this functionality. If they didn't develop how to purchase a become instructor or this search, what is the point of testing those things? So those things will consider as out of scope. Means those are not in scope for our testing. Those are not at all in our scope of our testing, basically. We will not consider them for our testing. Not at all in our scope for testing. In scope, only manual testing Telugu course purchase. So the ultimate point here, out of scope means features which are not developed, which means features which are not ready for testing. The in scope means features which are ready for testing. Okay, whichever the features that are ready for testing will fall under the in scope. So the in scope means basically the features that needs to be tested. Out of a scope means the features that we are not testing, basically, which falls under out of a scope. Okay, and then the next thing out over here is, consider that Anil wants an automation testing for his project, for which he asked the company to Karate UI framework for automation. Consider that he asked Karate UI automation as a tool. And TCS, the project we're working on, Surendra, Ramya, Sudha, Sneha, they don't know anything. in order to work on. So we need to learn this tool. Okay, if we learn this, then only we can deal with it. So we need to learn this particular tool. That's the key thing that we need to consider. Perfectly all right. Okay, good. So this is a simple example. Now, what I want to do right now means let me share a test plan document so that we can see what exactly the content we have in a test plan and how exactly we can understand the test plan. See, guys, one most important thing is the ultimate objective of opening this test plan is to understand what are all the various sections that we have inside a test plan. So whenever you are attending an interviews, people will ask you, buddy, explain about a test plan. What are all the components that you have in a test plan? Explain those details. Only those kind of a questions people will ask you as part of your interview. That's the reason we should know the complete information about this test plan. Okay, good. So let me go to this test plan document. Ideally, which company is preparing this document? What is the document? What is the project name that it is using? And basically, for which company they are preparing this document, the company details. And here, there is a document control. The significance of this document control is who prepared this document. Okay, who prepared this document, who reviewed this document, who approved this document. In the real world, whenever you are working on your projects, one should prepare a document, one should review a document, and one should approve that particular document. Review, preparation, review, and approval is the key thing. So, here, if you observe, the first section talks about who prepared this document when he prepared it, who reviewed this document when it was, who approved it when it was happened. That's the first thing. And additionally, the next point here is change history. The change history means consider that in our example, consider that Anil prepared this test plan. Consider that Anil prepared this test plan document and in which it has a few spelling mistakes. Okay, it has a few spelling mistakes. Surendra reviewed that document and shared few corrections to him. He shared a few corrections to him. Anil updated the document with those corrections. Ideally, what we usually do, we will update the existing document. In the real world, what we will do means the first document, we will keep it as a copy as a 1.0, as a 1.0. We will do save as, and we will create a separate document. We will add a version as a 1.1. So this is a 1 means an initial version. Dot 1 means it has a minor corrections. For suppose version 2.0, from 1.0 to 2.0, when it will come, whenever there are any major corrections are there. Okay, whenever there are any major corrections are there, then only this 2.0 will come. Okay, from 2.0 to 3.0, whenever there are any major corrections are there, then only this version will come. So ultimately, this is the thing that we need to consider. So this is what they are gonna mention here as part of a document control. If you scroll down, what exactly the table contains in which page, what exactly the section they are keeping, every details will be mentioned. As it is a test plan, first of all, we should know what exactly the customer is, what are all the documents we got from the customer. A brief introduction about the customer would be mentioned as part of our section 1. Okay, a brief intro about the customer would be maintained as part of a section 1. And after that, there is an approach. What is the approach that we will follow? Okay, what is the approach that we will follow in this organization? In order to test this application, what is the approach that we are following? Okay, so what exactly the approach is? First of all, the requirements should be defined properly. Once all the requirements are defined and once all the requirements are approved, then the UI mockups, the UI design would be created. And once the design is completed, then developers should start working on it. Okay, then developers should start working on it. And once the developer completed his work and once they did an unit testing, then we as a tester will comes into the picture and we will test that particular application. Okay, we will test that particular application, and while testing the application prior to that, we will prepare a test plan and then we will prepare our test scenarios and then we will prepare our test cases. We will review those test cases, and once we got it from approval from the developer, then we will test it. And once we test, we log a defects, and once the defects are fixed and everything is good enough, then we will stop the testing on that application. Okay, so this is what the approach that we are following. See, basically, an approach means consider that I'm in a Bangalore, I'm in a Bangalore city. I wanna go to a Pune. Okay, so I'm in a Bangalore city and I wanna go to Pune. The approach that I pick is take a car, go to till some place, maybe I can say go till 200 kilometers, take a break and then start your journey, stop for dinner, and then uh, reach a destination. This is the approach that I am following in order to reach Pune. Maybe if Anil is in place, he might pick the flight directly from Bangalore to Pune and he can reach his destination. If Sudha is there, she might pick a bus to reach her destination. If Ramya is there, she might reach by using a train. So the point out over here is approach means the process that we are following in order to deliver that particular task. Ideally, from organization to organization, these approaches will change. Right? Ideally, from organization to organization, these approaches will change. Okay, good. Done the deal. And then the next point that I need to consider here on top of this particular approach is the scope. We just studied about what is an in scope and what is an out scope for that particular application. Right? So, what exactly the in scope is and what exactly the out of scope is, we have already studied. Right? In this application, what exactly the in scope is, what exactly the out of a scope is, we need to specify that. Okay, so what exactly the in scope is and what exactly the out of a scope is, even we need to specify that. And on top of it, we also need to specify the strategy. What is the strategy I'm following here to complete this particular application testing? There should be some strategy, right? What exactly the strategy that you are following here? So basically, the ultimate objective of your testing is one and the same, which is all the requirements that needs to be completed. Whatever the design or the test cases that you have created, everything should execute and all the defects should be fixed. Right? That's what our ultimate objective is. What are we gonna deliver to the customer? Whatever the documents that we prepared as part of the testing phase would be delivered to the customer. What is an entry criteria and an exit criteria? A best example is, see, consider that I wanna travel in a flight from uh, Pune to Kolkata. Consider that I wanna travel from this to this. So the entry criteria for this one is having a ticket, having a boarding pass. Without these two things, I can't enter into a flight basically. Right. And what is an exit criteria means we should reach a destination. right? We should reach destination, then only you can get down from the flight, right? The similar way, in order to test the application, what is the entry criteria? All the requirements should be documented well. Developer should complete his development. Developer should complete his unit testing, and developer should confirm us that they are done with the deployment to our environment which can be tested. Okay, they are done with the deployment which can be tested. Then, what is an exit criteria for us? Whatever the test cases we planned, we should execute all the test cases. There shouldn't be any defects in the application. There shouldn't be any existing blockers or such things in the application. Then only we can stop our testing. Okay, then only we can stop our testing. That's what the ultimate point is. And when can I suspend my testing? See, basically, consider that I want to test the udemy.com login functionality. Developer said that, buddy, I am done with the login functionality. Okay, done with the login functionality. Go ahead and test it. If you want to test a login, first of all, you need to open the application, and then only we can test it. Test log. Right. If the application is not opening at all, then how can you test login? If the application itself is not opening, how can we test that particular login functionality? Which we call it as a, at that particular point, we will suspend our testing at that point. Okay, we will suspend our testing at that particular point. Then, when we will resume our testing, when we will continue our testing, when developer, okay, when developer fixed that issue. Okay, whenever the developer fixed that particular issue, then we will stop the testing. Okay, whenever developer fixed that particular issue, then we will stop that particular testing. That's it. As simple as it is. That's a suspension and then a resumption. And then, so what is the schedule basically? So how many days you need for your requirement analysis? How many days you need to create your test cases? How many days you need to execute your test cases? All those details would be mentioned down. And who all are working on a project? In order to work on the project, what is the training that you need? Everything would be listed down here. Okay, everything would be listed down here. And then what is the minimum hardware that it is required to work on a project? What is the minimum software that it is required to work on the project? If you encounter any defects, what is the process that we follow? Everything we will study here as part of this particular the test plan. All these details would be incorporated as part of this particular test plan. Any doubts on this particular test plan, guys? Am I clear for you on this test plan?
Yeah, Surendra, it's good.
Good enough. Damn the deal. So this is all about a test plan. See, basically on a high level, if I make a note of what are all the things that we have in a test plan, if at all someone asks you, explain about a test plan, what are all the key components that you have in a test plan? So, brief intro about the customer, whom we are working on the project, basically a brief intro about them. And the next thing is, what is the approach that we are following, what is the strategy that we are following, what exactly, okay, after the strategy, what exactly the in scope, what is an out of scope, followed by in scope, out of scope, the resources, the schedule, and the training that it is required, the hardware environment, software environment, followed by the defect approach would be listed down within the test plan. So these are the only points that we have studied. If someone asks you as part of your interview, if you are explaining these things, which is more than enough for you to address this particular question about this test plan. Okay, perfectly all right. And the real?